Amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing, individually and collectively, as it was established at birth.
Good afternoon and happy Sunday. I'm Crystal L. Gunn, and welcome to another episode of Amazing Women Speak. Thank you for joining us today. And while you are getting settled in for the show, hit the share button and share Amazing Women Speak so your friends and followers can get in on this conversation. And about this conversation, we all have dreams and goals, but sometimes the biggest obstacles are not external. They're the stories, the excuses, and the self-doubt we create for ourselves. Often, we create our own barriers by holding on to limited thoughts, procrastinating, or clinging to comfort zones that aren't even comfortable because they feel safe, but they keep us stagnant. So let's talk about it. How your bullshit is blocking your success. But before we get into this conversation, welcome to my BFF, Michele. Thank you so much for saying yes to Amazing Women Speak. How are you?
Good evening. I am doing well. Always excited to be in this space with you, having these conversations. And tonight's conversation will be no different. And if we're all honest with ourselves, it's going to step on our toes quite a few times. But it's time to unpack it and get to the space where we acknowledge it, own it, and create a plan to move on from it. But we cannot do that without having an amazing guest share their story and how they overcame. So without further ado, Chantia, please come in and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Crystal and Michele. Thank you so much for having me on the show. My name is Chantia Thompson, and I am the founder of S.H.E.
Welcome, welcome. Excited to have you. So I start the show every week saying that this is the fastest hour of your day. And because of that, we don't have time for shallow water. So we like to dive in deep so that we can start to learn a little bit about you, your story. Looking forward to hearing about S.H.E. And most importantly, sharing with the audience the ways in which you found yourself on the other side of the bullshit that we intend to unpack tonight. Our listeners, from whatever platform you are joining us from, please drop your questions, your comments in the chat. We always love to make you a part of this conversation. So let tonight be no different. We look forward to hearing from you. So let's talk about the bullshit, said Chantia. Really always like to take a step back before we get forward, because oftentimes our listeners join us waiting for how'd you get there, right? We recognize that usually our guests, they select a topic because they recognize the journey they had to go through. But before we talked about your arrival, we want to talk about the stuff that got you stuck when you recognize, like, nope, this bullshit around me, it's me, right? Like, certainly I've addressed the other folks around me, but it's me. Mm-hmm. So what were the things that you were dealing with, that you were walking through, that were keeping you stuck, that maybe in the beginning you were attributing them to other folks or to other things outside of yourself?
Oof. Honestly, it was a lot. I don't sugarcoat it, and I'm very transparent about it because it was a lot of me. It was, trauma from being a teen mom, trauma from being in a family that was unhealed, trauma from just picking the wrong friends and constantly picking the wrong friends. I knew these people were not good and not doing good things. But when you're lonely, when you're trying to find like family and just trying to find a safe space, you have to test those waters to see like, oh, maybe they'll change. Maybe they're different behind closed doors. I just kept showing up for the wrong people. And it was all me. It was all me.
So before discovering it was all you, right? Like recognizing that you were making choices, making friends that weren't contributing to a different outcome. Was there a period where you were holding other folks accountable before you began to address yourself?
I tried to many times, trying to change the mindset of people, trying to get people to think about goals, whether it was family, cousins, my own mother, friends, Even my best friends, like the best friends that I had when I was a teen, it was just trying to shift their mindset to see a goal outside of what we were just used to, because I've always had goals, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm not about to get stuck here. Even though I'm on this bullshit, I'm not about to get stuck here,
Yeah, sometimes it's easier. Like if I can fix that, it'll make everything else okay, instead of recognizing it's the I work that really does need to happen. And it's challenging, right? Because the hardest conversation that you ever have to encounter is the one that you have when you stand in front of the mirror. So as you begin to recognize, right, like I tried to fix that group or I tried to fix that situation and nothing is changing. What was that journey like to recognize, okay, like now it's time to do some self-evaluation. Maybe it is me and not those other factors.
Yeah, it was very hurtful. When you have to sit with yourself and tell yourself all of these things, because I journal a lot. I've always been a journaler, and using like calendars and things, that's my thing. So I've never been afraid to write something down on paper and look back at it and reflect back at it. So when I was younger and I used to have to reflect back on these things, like, wow, you made this choice. You decided to get in that car. You decided to catch the bus over that person's house and use your last money to,
Right.
buy food and, do all of these stupid things. It really hurt. Like it really broke me down. And that's when I started to honestly feel alone, because I was like, dang, now I'm broken down with this bullshit. What do I do now? But it also helped me to learn that I can hold myself accountable. I don't mind calling myself out on bullshit, apologizing when I need to, kicking my own butt, apologizing to other people when I need to. Like it really helped me when I was younger to go through that, even though I shouldn't have went through that when I was younger. No one wants to go through that, but it taught me a lot now in adulthood.
So let's talk about journaling. We have found many folks have shared that as a resource, right? And as you look back on some of your old journals, were you telling the truth or were you writing the story that you wanted to be?
Oh my goodness. I told them to be honest. Because when I think about it now, I'd be like, dang, like what was I doing? I was telling myself the truth. Like, oh, you went over this boy house and you hung out and you stayed out all night knowing you should have been home so you could get to work in the morning. Now you ain't got no job. What you gonna do now? What are you gonna do now? You were supposed to go to school. You didn't miss 3 classes. You missed so many credits. Now they're about kicking you out of college. So it's like, it was things that I had to face. And as a single mom, you're trying to live your best life because you're a single mom and you already got everything against you. But then you're trying to surround yourself with things that are sweeping everything else under the rug and masking everything. So that journal helped me keep myself accountable. It helped me put myself in check all the time. But then it also helped me to look at the bigger picture, at where my end goal was, because I was determined to get there no matter how much bullshit came up.
That's incredible. I remember my early journal days, reading back on them. I didn't write truth. I wrote the story of what I wanted it to look like, thinking that I could then become that thing without recognizing, right? Like what needed to happen was much like you talked about, right? Like be honest, look back and be like, wow, I really did do that dumb shit, right? Like I did it. But it's also owning it. And I couldn't. I was in a place where I couldn't. I just wanted a story that looked different. So that's what I wrote. And that became like, now I'm going to walk this part of the journey. And I had no clue how to do it, because this person that I was writing about in this book wasn't even a reflection of who I really was and what I was going through. It was the softer thing that I wanted to see. And so part of that, right, like in that self-actualization, like who is this person? And if you can never face who really is in front of you, you'll never be able to overcome whatever it is you think you're overcoming. So I really commend and applaud you from being able to write, like at that point in your life as a teen mom, to be able to write the story and be like, nope, yeah, this was the bullshit. I did the thing, and owned it in that really real way. I really commend you for that.
Yeah, I don't know how I did that. I think with the help of my grandmother, though, she would she would tell you about that bullshit you was doing all the time. So, you really didn't have a choice. Like she would tell you. So it was constantly
Nothing
being
like a
heard,
praying grandma.
constantly being said. So
But how many, how many lessons did you have to repeat though, right? Because we like to think that, oh, I acknowledge it, I know what the problem is, and then I can immediately fix it. Like, how many times did you have to repeat the thing? Right?
As she pulls off her shoes, right? Or
Right.
calculator.
Yeah, I think, let me see, I had my son at 16, and I think it took for me, it was about 25 when I really said, okay, enough is enough. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I need to look for counseling. Like, and I had all of these resources and tools because I wasn't the type of person that was not in the know of things or didn't research and find out and know where stuff was. So it's like I knew where all these things were. I had the tools in my back pocket, but I was distracted, and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to keep bumping my head because I want to have fun and I want to heal. And then I want to go have fun and I want to heal and I want to have fun. And God stuck with me that whole time. Like, he didn't let up on me. He always steered me right back to them journals or just sitting and facing everything I just did. Like, I would come home, I would do something so stupid, and I would come home and sit and think about it and journal about it. And I would be like, what? Why am I kicking myself in the butt every time? Because it wasn't me. I was so unauthentic in the sense of just doing things that other people wanted me to do and having fun the way I thought I was supposed to be having fun. And it was just so unauthentic. It was, yeah, pretty bad.
So 26, right? You recognize something has to be different. Was there an event that happened that called you to that moment, recognizing like something has to be different?
Eviction.
That'll do it.
My first eviction. Not having the money that I knew I needed for rent because I was spending it going out, going to the clubs, going downtown, and I got that eviction notice and I was like, wow, I thought my landlord was joking. I thought he was going to lie. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to save up, keep working, save up, go to this court date. I still got time, go to this court date. And he was just like, no. And because I lived in a city that wasn't reflective of myself, they were just like, oh, well, he said, you got to go, you got to go. And I literally had to call my dad and be like, I need you to come pack up my apartment while I'm at work and move myself into the U-Haul storage.
Wow.
With a child, because at that
child,
time, how old was he?
Ooh. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to do the math on that. About 8. Yeah, with the child. And I didn't even tell my son. It was just like one day we were at home and one day we were back at my mom's. And he was just like, what happened in a day? They didn't really say anything, but it was just like, what?
So how long was it before you told him the truth though?
I never did.
Or did this, or he's watching this now, he knows.
I never did. Yeah, he'll see this. And no, I didn't keep a lot of things for my son. It's so weird. The things that I didn't keep for my son was, of course, things he needed to know. But things like getting evicted, those were the things I was too embarrassed to tell him. But I would talk to him about safe sex, condoms, guns, girl. I mean, everything. But when it came to getting evicted, and I was just like, no, I remember when our car broke down, like I would just be like, oh, it's just in the shop. Oh, I sold it. Like, I just felt like a bad mom during those times. And for me, it was embarrassing, but he always was, a good kid. And, I did my best as a single mom, and he never held it against me. So I'm like, okay, they don't know now. Yeah, we got evicted.
So you talked about a circle of friends that weren't friends, right? Like they were in your life during that season. When you recreated your tribe, your circle that really was giving you what you needed, that you could safely pour and be poured back into you, what was that like for you, right? Because oftentimes as women, we get super guarded, right? And we've already been socialized to think about other Black women in a really particular way. And they're necessary for our journey, right? Like you need that in your life, however big or small your tribe needs to be. How was that journey back into identifying a solid persons or people that could help you?
Yeah, I still had my guard up. I didn't trust anybody. I didn't even trust myself because I was still doing, little stuff, but I wasn't I never had got evicted again, I'll tell you that. But I actually had one of my friends, her mother used to watch my son. She was one of the only 3 people that I trusted to watch my son. And she was a lot younger than me, but somehow we I don't know, connected again. And I was like, wait a minute. Her mom was freaking awesome. Like, I need someone to kick my butt because I remember her mom used to kick our butts, and I need someone to kick my butt. And that's exactly what her mom did. I remember they lived not too far from where my next apartment was, and I would go over there all the time and just, while she was cooking, she would be talking to us. While she was driving us somewhere, she would be talking to us. She was just pouring into us all the time. And I really admired that. And I was like, okay, this is where I need to be. This is where I need to be. And we're still great friends to this day. And, I like I said, her mom will kick your butt when you need it. You just call her and she'll kick your butt. But, and just circling back to, friends that I did have that were amazing, but I put on the back burner because I thought they were boring or wasn't cool enough because other kids were hanging out, partying, drinking, doing all of that fun stuff. And it was just a full circle moment. And it was like, wow, I shouldn't have never left this space that I was comfortable in to go somewhere else and be uncomfortable. And, they, as a single mom, when you got friends who are like, hey, I'll pick you up. Oh, you got to catch the bus home from work. Oh, I'll pick you up. Oh, you got to work. I'll babysit your son. We got extra food over here. We made, I'm gonna bring you a plate tomorrow. Like when you got friends like that, you can't double back. There's no way. Well, you can, some people do, but it was just like, no, my friends helped me elevate in a way that they held me down. And they knew I needed that support. So I got it. And, I hope they got as much as they gave from me and I got from them. And that's really what it took, was just having a strong foundation of authentic friends, because they were living their authentic, purposeful life. So it was like, okay, Tia, it's time for you to get back on track too.
Right. Like, which is the sole purpose of this platform, right? Is to bring women together in a way that we change the narrative that we can't ride for each other in that way, that we can't see each other have a need and not rise to the occasion, right? And to be able to, like you said, even put them on the back burner and them be available to you and love you the way that they did when you recognize, like, nope, these aren't back burner folks. These are my ride or dies. That's the whole platform, right? Like that's our goal, is to be able to really get folks to understand that Black women have these kind of relationships where we can rely on one another, lift one another up, that we always reach back and pull up as we step up. So to hear that story, right? Like, because the narrative is, yeah, no, once you got done putting me on the back burner, like I'm done with you. You're going to come checking for me. And like, no, because I remember how you treated me. And that's a really solid test of who is willing to ride for you, right?
Yeah.
That kind of relationship could withstand that kind of scrutiny, that you could call on them when you needed and they didn't hold that against you.
Yeah, well, I never burned any bridges. That's another thing too. You don't burn bridges with people because you never know who you might need. And once you burn a bridge, is whether they take you back or not. I had not burned any bridges with any of those friends that I needed and during that time. So it was kind of easy for them to say, yeah, girl, we were just waiting on you to get back over here. Like, where you been?
That's beautiful. Yeah.
So a few episodes ago, we had this conversation talking about the tribe, and had made mention to, I think you have to go through the things that you have to go through. And Michele was like, no, you should have told me some things that maybe I would have listened and wouldn't have gone through that, right? And vice versa. Were they telling you the things and you just were dismissing it? Or were they just, because at that young age, even though we may see something, we might not speak up about it and say, you shouldn't do this thing, or this isn't good for you. Were they saying the things and you ignoring them?
Not so much. I did have one friend. She used to always like call me out on that bullshit. Like, okay, why are you going over this person's house? Why are you answering the phone for that person when you know what happened in the past? So she would just always make sure that I wasn't resorting back to the same bullshit. So I could continue to get to where I needed to go. So she could continue to get to where she needed to go. Also, because now I'm in a space with other people and I'm sharing energy, sharing space, sharing time. I don't want to drag them into that. They're not dragging me into something. Well, some of them did, so we're not friends anymore. But the ones that are still around, it's like, hey, don't bring that crap my way. Don't bring it my way.
Yeah. So when you get to the point where like this way, these choices aren't serving me, right? Like, and you begin to do that self-reflection, like this really is on me. If something's going to be different, it's going to start with me. At 26, you began to make those really different choices, acknowledging that you are a contributor to what were some of the costs besides the eviction, right? Like, because what we want folks to begin to pay attention to, like if I can start connecting with myself earlier and more often, like I don't have to bump my head on every, like I get we have to walk our journey, but I don't have to trip over every stone that's in front of me, right? Like, so when did you begin to recognize, like, what was that part of the journey like? Like, this is what this bullshit is costing me, besides the eviction part.
Yeah, time, work, getting wrote up. I was such a good worker. I never got fired. Like they would just keep just saying, Chantia, be on time. We understand you're a single mom, but because that was always my excuse was, oh, my son, I had to get him to daycare. I had to. They're like, okay, and it was because I was a good worker. I got to keep those jobs, but just having them constantly talking to me, people at work, saying stuff. And, you got your mom saying stuff, your granny saying, your family. It was just all of the crap that I had to deal with, externally, on top of what I was dealing with internally that no one was knowing about because I was holding it in. And it was just like, I'm going to explode. Enough is enough. Like, you really got to look at everything that you're doing from you get your paycheck. I was getting my checks and I was spending them. I was spending them, I'm like, okay, we're going to go have fun at the movies, but I'm also about to go buy some new clothes. I'm about to go, get some dinner. We're about to eat out. We're about to, go to the club on the weekends, about to loan friends money. That was another thing that was draining me, was letting people borrow money. Oh my goodness. So it was an accumulation of so much. And you know what you're doing too. That's the thing. I knew what I was doing. And I would kick myself in the butt. Like, why you just loan this person $200-$300 when you know you got to pay your rent and you know they ain't going to pay you back on time? Why you just go buy some new outfits to go to the club and you know you don't need to be going to the club and you don't need to be buying no new clothes? So it was like, it was just an accumulation of everything I was doing. And I just was like, enough is enough. I don't want to be a statistic. I don't want to be living in poverty and on welfare and just dependent on the bus system or dependent on someone else.
Right.
I was like, that is not the life I'm about to have, because I couldn't even see myself living like that at the age I'm at now. I really can't, because I've always wanted more for myself. So when I was younger, I never saw myself in a situation that I was in when I was younger. I was like, oh no, I'm not about to be living like this. So I don't even want to think about what it would look like if there was no if.
So let's look at that, because you talked about telling yourself the truth. You would get home and you would know it, you would write it down, and yet you still did the things that you knew, right? You still went out with those friends that probably weren't the best role models, the best friends. Then you had these other friends over here who were, there for you, supportive, some of them checking you on your bullshit. Why was it? And the first thing that came to mind was the self-worth, the self-doubt, the self-sabotage, all of that. What were the things that said, okay, I got these good people over here? But what was it about Chantia that said, but I'm still gonna go over here and do stuff that I know I'm
Mhm.
doing?
The fear, the trauma, the anxiety, the depression, the anger. The anger was one that was a major one, because for me not to be angry, I had to be doing something that made me happy, whether it was bumping my head. Because when I would sit and be like, oh my God, I'm broke. So now I'm angry. I don't, I got to pay my bills.
Mhm.
I got to work extra hours. I got to, don't need to drive my car this week. Got to catch the bus. Like, so it was like those little things were making me angry that built up to bigger things. And then on the other hand, it was like, I needed a safe space. And those friends that I thought were, not as fun and as cool as my other friends, when I was younger, it didn't look like a safe space to me, because they were still, they were, doing things with their family. They were, traveling. They were doing things that I didn't want to do at that time. I wanted to sweep my anxieties and depression under the rug and go party. So yeah, it was a lot of emotions, a lot of me not healing too. Like, even though I journaled, I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I just would just write. I like to write. I write poetry. I wrote poetry. I wrote a little book when I was younger. So it's like I like to write, but I didn't know why I was expressing myself. No one told me to do it. No one showed me to do that. No one in my family does that, not that I know of, but I just was doing it. And I just used to think, oh, I'm just talking to God. I'm just talking to myself. I'm thinking like, oh, well, my granny can write in her Bible. I can just write down on this paper because I didn't have a Bible. So, you know.
So when you look back at your journal, right, like, and you recognize it, like, this was never the person that I thought, right? Like, as a young girl, this was not supposed to be my story. And I have the pen and the power to change that story, right? Like, the journal that I'll read 10 years from now about this phase of my life will look very different than the journal that I read the 10 years previous. What was the brave step? What was the thing that catapulted you to the other side that said, yep, I'm acknowledging my bullshit and this story is going to look different, this next chapter?
Not failing, because I had a son and I knew that he was watching everything
Mm.
and learning and absorbing everything. And I was just like, oh my goodness, if I'm going to be a statistic, that means he going to be one too. And there was no way. That really kicked me into gear. Like, okay, I don't care how many times I bump my head, but my son, nah, America not about to get my son.
Mm.
Not about to do it. He's 22 now. He has an amazing job. He has no kids. And he's very chill. And I talk to him a lot. I'm always asking him, like, remember when you was younger? Like, did you ever like just be like, dang, I hate my mom. Like, she a horrible mom. She a bad mom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, you can be honest with me. I ain't gonna be mad. And he like, no. He like, never. I'm like, there's no way. I'm like, I can remember at the times I was so mad at my mom, I slammed that door. I'm like, oh, I'm not coming home. I'm gonna run away. And I did run away one time. But he was like, no, you did your best.
Mm.
Why would
That's
I think
beautiful.
that? And that is like, when I look at him, I'm always like, yes, I'm glad I at least have that.
Right.
I have that. I didn't bump my head. I didn't did so many things, but at least I know my son loved me and knew I was trying my best, even though he seen me bump my head sometimes.
Right. Yeah. So we get to the point in our lives where we recognize, right, like that we do have the power. I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm going to extend myself grace. So was the change for you in those moments where you were beating yourself up because you just refuse to be that way anymore? Or was it in the I'm going to give myself grace to make something different? Like, where were you when that really change happened for you?
It started off a little bit of both. And then after I started like getting more deep into spirituality, just more consistent with everything too. Like my friends that I had, they're very spiritual. Their families were very spiritual. So it was like, being consistent with it. It was like, oh wait, I can love myself. I can give myself grace. I can be patient with myself. I can, be okay in this apartment right now because it's going to get better. I can, it's okay if I got to take that long walk in the rain off this bus. It's okay because I'm going to have me a new car one day. So I was turning the negatives into a positives because I'm like, if I keep staying in this negative puddle, I'm not going to get to where I know I am going. I'm like, I know I am going here. So start acting like it. What they say, that fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. That was that fake it till you make it. I was like, this is it. I am just going to do that. And I'm going to get out of this situation. So I would get up, give me some little nice clothes from the rave and the 579 and the, give me some cute little stuff and just walk into that WIC office like my ish didn't stink. Walk into that food stamp office like I'm like, okay, I'm only here part-time. It's all good, yep, let's do this. And it was just a mindset change of I am going to get out of the situations and never go back to the situations I was in. There was no way.
And you say fake it till you make it, but in all actuality, the thing that you were doing was elevating, right? You were changing your frequencies. And so then you started to attract the very things that you knew you wanted, but you had to change how you were operating.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So now we get to the other side of this, right? Like where we start thinking about the resources. What are the things that I can identify my bullshit before I allow it to put me in a bad situation, right? And one of the things that we always talked about, and I was really glad to hear you say it, you talked about your faith, right? Like in that deeper connection with God that really teaches us how to have grace with ourselves. So when you look back on that part of your journey, right, and the discovery of, I'm hoping I'm not speaking out of turn when I say that gave you the peace to do that next step. How did you share that part of you with your son?
Well, we started going to church together. I remember when I did live in Dearborn, there was like this church who used to give out a lot of free stuff. So I was always at the free stuff too. So because that helped me save money. I'm like, hey, we'll go to these churches. I didn't mind pulling up to anything because I just knew I'm only going to be here part-time and I can give back later on. So we started going to church, and my aunt had passed when I was younger. So when I was going with him, it did bring up a lot of trauma that I wasn't ready for. So I would still drop him off and I would just do what I needed to do for myself at home. And, they would always invite me in and like, oh, you always dropping your son off. Why you don't come no more? And I would make up excuses. Oh, I got to clean the house. I got to do this. And they're like, okay, well, you just keep on bringing this young man. And I'm like, oh, I definitely am. But I would go home and I would just still constantly just work on myself, talk to my grandmother all the time because she was always, quoting the Bible, speaking life into me. And just making sure that I continuously held myself accountable, and just kept that faith of like, God got my back. If nobody got my back, he is going to have my back. He has continued to show up for me through all of this. He forgave me for all my sins. Like I have to not only, prove it to myself, but prove it to him so I can keep receiving. I want to keep receiving because I might be in a better place now. I have a car and be able to go shopping and still pay my bills, but I'm trying to get further. I have to keep pouring into myself, pouring into others when I can, because I'm trying to go so much further, and holding on to that faith and that love and that trust and that belief in God, that belief in myself. That's one thing. If you don't have belief in yourself, you don't have faith as a woman, you're not going to get far, because you're going to have that fear. You're going to have that lack mindset. You're going to be stagnant. And that just wasn't, like I said, it wasn't in the outcome of what I wanted when I got older.
I love it. So before you became the founder of S.H.E, tell us about your vision.
Yeah, she came about because I don't know. I was like sitting one day and I was like, dang, I wonder if a group of women could get together and just really just chill and hang out and talk and have no, have it be no drama. Because I was used to drama too. Like,
Right.
it wasn't my drama, but it was like family and friends. It was like, I love them, but it was like, oh, I'm always circling back to this drama. And I said, no, I need to find a space. I need to find a space where it's just women that look like me. I don't even care where it is. Where is it? And I wasn't finding it. And this is back in 2019. And so I was like, you know what? I'm about to create this space. I'm about to create this space. So I talked to one of my friends that I circled back to. And I said, girl, you know what? About to put this event on, about to put this event together, about to, start this group, and about to make it happen. Just so happened it was December when we just like, okay, we're about to have this event. People signed up, people paid because I had food there. It was at my house, because I had a house now, y'all. So I'm elevating from these apartments. So it got me a house. Right? So I got me a big old house, had a living room. I'm like, let me push all this furniture out. We're about to just sit on the floor. We got cushions, had a vibe, And it was a snowstorm that night. And one person showed up. And everyone else was texting me like, it's snowing and you live kind of far. And I'm like, oh, I totally get it. Like, totally get it. I'm sitting there like, I got all this food. I'm about to wrap it up, put it in the refrigerator. But they were like, all of them were like, don't refund me. Keep going, because they knew me. Mm-hmm. They knew me. So they like, okay, you own to something. So, we pouring into you with that, and we want you to keep going. And then the young lady that showed up, me and her, we did yoga, we talked, we journaled, we ate good. And we just had a good night. And she really needed that too. She was like, oh my God, I was so hoping you was not canceling. My husband drove me out here with the kids, and they driving around, and, went to go get something to eat at a restaurant to wait for me because I really needed this. And I was like, wow, we ain't talking about a lot of stuff, because I see we still not talking about stuff because we didn't know how to express that to other people without being judged, without, people telling you you're crazy, you're weird, you're acting white. Like, it was like, I was like, oh, I don't want to say nothing to nobody because I'm tired of hearing, I don't want to hear none of that stuff I used to hear when I was younger. So I ain't gonna say nothing. But I knew I needed that safe space. And I knew there were women out there like me. You hear things, you talk to someone at the grocery store, the doctor's office, and talking about the same stuff. You're like, wow, okay, we need to put this together. And I kept going with it. Of course, COVID came in, but we jumped online and was holding space. When we were able to get out, we started doing the workshops out. She opened up her house for us to hold space in a different city, so we could, get more women to come that way. And I just kept it going. And other women that were my friend, they just kept pouring into me like, Tia, keep going, keep going, keep going. And that's how it just blossomed into what it has today. And I also went back to doing things that I used to do, like my doula work, got more into that and incorporated that into this business. Just working with women, coaching them. It just led to a lot of different things that each individual person needed if we weren't in that healing space together as a as a group.
Wow.
What is she an acronym for?
She has everything. So I
Mm.
am she and she is you. You have
Mm.
everything within inside of you. And that's what I had to realize going through my healing journey is that I had everything. The thoughts were there. Why you hanging out with these people? Why, you know what I'm saying? In my heart, I felt it. You know, oh, you can do this. You smart, you beautiful, you know, the intuition, like we have all of this inside of us telling us the good, the bad, and the ugly. You got to start trusting yourself. You got to show up for yourself when no one else is. And you got to believe yourself. You got to have that faith in God, that faith that you can pull through. And that's how that was the glue to She. It just was birthed from my lived experience.
So oftentimes, I talk about socialization a lot. We don't believe we deserve. We've been taught that we don't deserve. We've been taught that we give to and we serve others all the time. And it's okay to put ourselves at the bottom of that list. So, in your workshops, in your conversations, when you're with women, how do you change the narrative that no, you really do? She has everything. She is you and you deserve.
That accountability. That's I keep drilling that into them. You got to have accountability. You got to say, yeah, I messed up and not be afraid of it and run from it. Like people will run from saying, oh, I did something wrong and run from it and then still go do something wrong, whether it's to themselves or someone
Hmm.
else. So, you know, we talk about the things. I usually ask, you know, like get some topics of things that the women want to talk about. And I never like write anything down. I might write something down like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And I literally sit it down and let God just
Mhm.
pour it out. And they be sitting there like, dang, Tia, yeah, journaling, writing down, talking to each other. Like, and I just be talking and they be like, wow, like, ooh, girl, you know, I needed to hear that. And I'm like, I have absolutely no clue what was just said in these 2 hours. I
Hmm.
do not know. I
Hmm.
don't know. It just
You
came
opened
out and
yourself up
needed
to be
to.
a vessel.
Yep.
Yeah, which is huge and thoughtless.
Yeah. And we just have a great time. We always have meals together and network with each other because a lot of the ladies that come are business owners or young entrepreneurs are just trying to step into entrepreneurship and want to ask questions. We've had college students show up because they need a big sister or a mommy figure. And it's like, no, you don't need a mommy figure. You need to go heal your relationship with your mom and heal yourself. I can't be your mom. But, you know, people get attached to me like that because I am a mother figure. I am, you know, I got a son. So I am, you know, I do get into mom mode a lot. And people always be like, dang, Tia, how old is your son? Like, people do not believe I have a 22-year-old. Like, we look just like twins. I'm like, my son
Hmm.
is 22. This is not my boyfriend. This is not my cousin. This is my son. They're just like, no way. And they're like, um, you know, you turn and you get into mom mode. They be like, oh, here she go. And that's when they know mom mode. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting in mom mode. When I see the eyes rolling and I know mom mode coming on. So I'm like, okay, Tia, stop. But it's just holding them accountable. And it also holds me accountable too, because I'm like, if you're going to be in my space, you got to be doing some type of healing because I'm not trying to resort back to all the stuff that I've been through. I don't have time to help someone who does not want to be helped. I make that very clear. I don't need your money. I don't want your money. I'm here because I want to, not because I need to. So if you are going to come in my space, you have to be ready. You have to be ready to take this deep dive of healing or already doing the healing work. Because other than that, I got boundaries when it comes to
Hmm.
bringing women or men around me. Boundaries.
Do you think, had your past journey been different, not bumping your head, right? Not getting evicted, not having, all of the write-ups at work, all of those things, do you think you would still do the stuff that you do? Would she be a thing had you not had that journey?
it would probably look a lot different, only because I think if I wouldn't have bumped my head all them times, I would have been a millionaire a long time ago. I had so many ideas. I had so much inside of me that poured out, and I was called weird, crazy, white. Like, what do you mean we can't do these things? Like, okay, I gotta go act black, and I gotta go what? Get pregnant at a young age. I gotta go, get my car messed up. I gotta go spend my money and fake it till you make it. So I'm like, man, if those things wouldn't have happened, it would look a whole lot different. It would look a lot different. I would definitely have my own building, to be able to do a lot of the things that I want to do, not only for the S.H.E program, but for our youth program, Girls Empowered. I mean, like, it would look a lot different. I would definitely, well, our team is still women led right now, but I think along that time, I would have been able to help heal a lot of other people, as well as heal myself through a lot of things that I wouldn't have had to go through. It would have looked a lot different. I think about that a lot. Yeah, that is one thing I do reflect on quite often, is like, because I always try to think back to what I missed too, because I'm like, oh, maybe something will pop up and I can, bring that, to the table, like, oh, okay, this, that, like, I always think back so I can see if I missed something. But I started my youth group, got back into just a lot of volunteering. I love to volunteer. People always be like, Tia, you always trying to do something for free. Like, get mad at me because I'm always like, oh, it's gonna be free, about to go do this, about to go volunteer, about to do. Girl, if y'all quit playing, I be like, y'all don't know how God worked with me. I can go do a lot of stuff for free, but y'all see what happens in real life. Right. So I'm like, let me go do my stuff for free and let me receive my abundance, because it's coming. So I don't mind it.
So the article comes out 20 years from now. Chantia Thompson, founder, CEO of S.H.E. What's included in that article?
Well, if we're starting from right now, it's definitely going to say that she was tired of the bullshit and she decided to speak up and take action on the bullshit. Because I have noticed that there's a lot of bullshit going on and I'm just really tired of it. And I know the mission that I'm on and I know who I serve. And I'm just like really tired of it. So it would be like it would be an article that she just went on a rampage. It just was like, time to get shit together, knocking on doors, time to get shit together. We ain't got time. You coming out, you coming, or which, all right, check you off the list, moving on to the next. Like, I'm tired of seeing it, because I went through it, and there's so many women out there that's trying to help women see the bigger picture, and I understand they have fears, they have trust issues, they have all of these things, but it's like, if y'all just really like get y'all shit together, get this bullshit together, you gotta be out here looking like this, because we ain't looking good right now. And I'm just gonna be very honest. We not looking good right now. I don't care how much they build up Detroit, how many we ain't looking good right now.
When you pull the curtain back.
Yeah, we ain't got shit. We ain't doing shit. We have missed the bullshit. So yeah, it will say a whole lot.
It's powerful when you can take your pain and turn it into a purpose. And create, right, a space as you've created. So if I wanted to sign up for a workshop, what would I walk away with?
Empowerment and the faith in yourself, to start trusting yourself, to start trusting that everyone is not out to get you. Everyone is not trying to hurt you. And you would start breaking that wall down and being able to let people in so you can heal. People are afraid of healing, and you're going to walk away empowered to want to heal now.
Wow.
So talk a little bit about the doula work that you do and why.
Oh, the babies. The babies. Yeah. Once I healed my inner child, because I was one of them people back in the day, I was like, oh my God, I got a kid, but I don't want to be bothered with nobody else's. But I always was around everyone else's. I was always loving on everyone else's kid and helping take care of someone else's kid. So it was like I just needed to really take time to heal my inner child and get back into that space, and once again help other women who are going through mental health imbalances as I was, who were feeling alone as a, whether it was a teen mom or just a single mom, or even a mom that has a partner. You still feel alone at some point as a Black woman. There is just not a day where you can say, oh, I don't feel alone. Would you don't think you're alone because you got a bunch of people around you?
Mm.
No, no, that we all have felt alone. And I pour that into them. Like, you're not alone. Because for one, I'm like your accountability partner, your personal assistant. I'm here to help you and make sure your mental health is checked with that A+, or get you on the path so you can, take that accountability, whether it's going to therapy, seeking some type of counseling, whether it's just going to yoga or going to take walks outside, just getting you somewhere where you can now feel free from them chains you dragging, and be able to show up, because now you're about to have a life. And I had a life coming out of me. So I know what it's like. And I didn't want anyone to have a kid and then still be feeling like how I said, I'll be embarrassed to tell them that I got evicted, but I sure would tell them about drugs and guns and stuff. It's like you don't have to go through that if you don't want to, or for as long as you don't want to, because there is people out here. There's so many doulas out here that want to help women. Like you can't just get in this work and to just work. To be in this service, you have to really be here. You have to have healed. You have to have a passion and love for this work. I love what I do. I love the babies that I get to see. I'm Auntie Tia. Tia mean aunt in Spanish. Like, I'm just a neighborhood auntie. I was with my youth group today. We was out. Like, I want to pour into the kids because they are the future, and we are leaving them here with a shit show that they are not prepared for because of these everything that they have right now, phones, video games. Like, they distracted by so much. They don't want to learn about politics, business, finances. Like, they're not thinking about that stuff. And some of them are, the ones who are, they get poured into the most. And I don't like that imbalance. I'm like, hey, y'all, what about the kids who don't have transportation to get to places? What about the kids? It's like we got to pour a lot more into these kids who don't see the value of anything we're trying to show them, because they are the future. And if they don't know, we already know how that's going to look. If these kids don't wake up and start, getting their shit together. Even though they kids, it's like, come on, y'all got to get this. We is out of time. We have been out of time.
Right.
We have been out of time.
Right. So that first step is always the hardest, right? Even after I recognize, even when I can see what's on the other side of that first step, because of some of the things you talked about, right? Like fear, not knowing if I can trust myself, all of those things. What would you say to the woman who wants to take that first step?
First, I would say sit down and pray. Because maybe in that moment when you're thinking, okay, it's time for me to take this step, you're going to sit down and pray, and God is going to send you a sign. He's going to speak life into you. That is the moment you get down on your knees and you pray and see what comes from that. And you just move forward with that here still. Don't stop. Just keep going. Oh, you want to look for a job? Oh, you've been waiting 6 months to look for a job. Okay, that next morning, set up that plan. Write it down. Okay, I'm gonna get up at this time. If I ain't got transportation, okay, I know I need to take the bus, which route I need to take to get to the job sites to, that help you find a job in the city of Detroit. They have these job sites. So it's like, set yourself up so that way you're already sitting there in that moment, prayer, journaling about it, setting yourself up for that day, writing down everything you need to do, and then getting up the next day and executing it. If that means even putting your phone on do not disturb, so you know your home girl won't call you or your homeboy won't call you and throw you off that path. You have to be okay with letting people go.
Mhm.
Mm.
Like, let people go, or just tell them, hey, I need some time. And then you'll know how to handle them when you are on your healing journey too. So you can be like, look, y'all, I'm moving a little different in my life right now. And you can explain it to them and they can say, or they can be happy for you and let you go
Right.
because they not ready yet. But you
Right.
got to be okay with doing that. And a lot of people are not. And that is why a lot of people are stuck because they are afraid to let go. I was there. You
Absolutely.
have to be okay with letting go. People, places, and things. I tell people that all the time. People, places, and things, let it go.
You got to change your environment. Like you have to change the environment in order to be able to do something different, right? And so you talked about saying, you know, telling the people I need some time, but it's also, do I really need to tell them? Because now they're going to come with their negativity. And we talk
That's
about
true.
that tribe all of the time. Like, who's around you that's helping you? Because if they're not, like, you got to stop spending so much time with them.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's like really strange to me is like I'll talk to someone and they'll like just tell me everything. And I'm just like, okay, well, here's my number. I got to get on up out of here. I'm on my way running out from an event or the store, or some people just talk to me and will tell me everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna tell you everything. I'm gonna tell you what you should be doing. And you can take that and run with that. But it's always like when you get to that point where, okay, have you identified the people and the things that are limiting you and distracting you? And they're like, yeah, well,
Mm.
and I'm like, oh man, here go my number. Call me when you're ready.
When you
Like,
ready.
I've been the same for 22 years. Hit me up when you're ready. But then you get some people that's like, yeah, I got this one friend, she always over my house, always eat my food, always want to, drag me to this and that. It's like that's the first step. Send her a text message. Oh, I'm busy. And then just cut her off. Simple. Do not disturb. I go on a detox every year. And I tell people, don't bother me. If it ain't about business, my business at that. If it don't include me, involve me, or it ain't a question about something, do not bother me. Do not. From October, it used to be started off as like 2 weeks just through that winter break of school, just so I could have that time with my son and just sit down and do what I need to do. And as the more I healed, the more it expanded. 1 year I was on it for like 5 months. I mean, I was no social media, not talking to people, not hanging out. I mean, I was just home, chilling, doing stuff with my son, doing stuff with my husband, hanging out, having fun the way I wanted to and needed to. And it wasn't like I had this, distracting friends and people around me. It was just like, I respect myself. I know what my limits are. This is my downtime. I used to get seasonal depression also. So that was a way for me to work through that and just be in my safe space. Like right now I'm sitting in my wellness room. I have a room in my house that is just here for my mental health. I can come in this room and pour into myself in many, many ways. Like I go to that dollar store and I rack it up. So I can have my paint, have my candles, have my, crafts, or have my books, and, make a safe space in your house. Have that safe space to take that break from people, because when I take that break, I need something to replace it with too. My friends still know I love them. They still know if I need to pull up, I'm gonna pull up. But you know what I'm doing during this time a lot? Volunteering. I'll be volunteering, or I'll be at the movies, or just spend time with my family. So it's like, have some things ready to take that big gulp and swap and say, hey, I got my tools. Now I'm ready to take this jump. And I'm gonna jump so high. I'm gonna jump so high. I ain't even gonna remember what it looked like. I ain't gonna remember what that looked like.
I
I
love
And
love
then
that.
you
that.
gonna pull people up behind you. So it's like the more we do it, the more we can continue to pull people
Absolutely.
up behind us.
Yeah. And we all deserve what's on the other side of
Yes.
letting go of the bullshit that we put on ourselves. Like I said, the fastest hour of our day. This has been an amazing, enlightening, transparent, and vulnerable conversation. And I thank you for sharing your story with us. How can folks find you?
I do utilize social media occasionally.
Right.
S.H.E. Just look up she. Facebook, Instagram. Our website is www.shehaseverything.org. And then our youth, if you have children, our youth group is called Girls Empowered. So we can be found on the social media pages. Yeah.
Thank you. Reach out. I really encourage folks who are trying to figure it out, because if you have not heard in her story the ability to come from a space that could have kept her trapped, and to come out of that and not only heal herself but create a space for other folks to heal and to pay attention to the generations to come and what they need. Our
Mhm.
Black girls need us more than ever to be the example and to give space and give them permission to do the things that they need to do to grow and be productive and one day be on a platform such as this sharing their overcome story. So I thank you. Folks, please do reach out if you find yourself in that space, or if you're just curious and want to know more, because as she said, she is you and she has everything. Crystal.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Chantia. For all
Thank
those that are
you.
listening, Chantia is sharing her story. This is your reminder that you don't have to stay stuck, that you don't have to stay where you are, that better is on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people out there that love you and want to help walk that journey with you. So reach out and understanding that the journey is, I don't know, I always say the journey is incredible, right? So thank you for being so transparent and telling, sharing your story, because you, I don't know, there's a freeing when
Right.
you tell your story,
Right.
right?
Mhm. Yes,
Um,
it is.
there is a release of any shame when you tell your story, right? I always say it's like the the Eminem movie 8 Mile, where he's in the cipher and he was like, the only way I'm gonna win is if I tell my story. If I don't let this other rapper, you know what I mean, use my tragedy and all of that against me.
Right.
And so he told his story and he won. So owning your story and telling it, I think is there's a reason that you had to go through it, and God, the other side is so much better. So thank you so much for sharing all of that, and thank you for doing all of that you do, and thank you for volunteering your time, because that's really huge. People are busy. You got organizations and jobs and companies, and you still find time to share to volunteer and give to others, and that's huge. And the reward on that is always phenomenal. So thank you so much. I
You.
am Crystal L. Gunn. I am a Black woman, and I absolutely own my amazing.
Yeah. So again, Chantia, thank you very much. I echo and double down on the things that Crystal said. Um, the gift of having you here tonight, and any listener who came in curious, heard a story that
Mhm.
should give them hope and understand that there is something on the other side that belongs, right? It was established at birth. Now go back and claim all of
Mhm.
that that is yours. Crystal, every week, I thank you for being obedient to the call that God has put on your life to create a platform like this where we can come together and elevate, uplift, laugh, and cry and share in a way that gives hope to folks who have not yet met you in person. So I thank you for your ongoing obedience that God has put on your life. It is always my joy to be able to ride this ride with you and to be on this journey with you. My name is Michele Harper. I am a Black woman, and without apology, I continue to own my amazing. Chantia.
I am in full gratitude. Thank you, ladies, for pouring into me and having me on this platform. I look up to amazing Black women as yourself, Miss Crystal. Miss Michele. That's what keeps me going, is knowing that there are intentional Black women out there who I can look up to. Because, you find some and you're like, and then you find some real ones out there, and they pour in. This was pouring into me tonight to help me continue to feel brave to share my story. I have a lot of stuff, that went on during those times. And I talk about a lot of them during our healing circles. But I just want women to keep doing your best, because you are your best. And my name is Chantia. I am a Black woman, and I own my amazing.
Thank you so much, ladies. Amazing Women Speak is sponsored by the Amazing Woman Network, which was created to unite and empower Black women globally, focusing on our pillars of reclaiming personal power, mind, body, and spirit, reclaiming our financial power, and increasing our social involvement. Visit us on the web and just register to join at Amazing Woman, WOMAN, network.com. Also, find Amazing Women Speak on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Spotify, whatever your favorite platform. Like and subscribe and turn notifications on. Then take a look at past episodes. I promise you, we are in season 4, and you will find more than a handful of episodes that speak to your soul. And after that, share them with someone else that you know. Be a blessing. We will not be here next week. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Love on your family. Be a blessing. And I don't know, have some different conversations this year, right? Pay attention to what you're really thankful for. And then what do you want to happen in 2025 and beyond?
Yeah, start now. I don't want to have the conversation about the bullshit of resolutions. Like, please don't make me do it, but I will. Start now.
And that's a good thing to end on. Michele, take us out and just talk about the bullshit of New Year's resolutions, why we need to do it now. And that's like a really great way to end this conversation today.
Yeah, I'm simply going to say to wait for something that is not promised to you is absolutely ridiculous. God gave us this moment. And to believe that you deserve the click, right? Like, as if there's anything different from December 31st to January 1 than it is from today to tomorrow. It's the same 24 hours. And you are asking God to give you something that you're demonstrating right now what you're going to do with it. So to say, oh, I can't wait, I'm going to 12 weeks from now, I'm going to ... is ridiculous. How many days between now and December 31st?
Right.
Like, you need to own the gift of today and demonstrate, show God that you are going to take advantage of the gift of life that you have right now. We just had a conversation about finances, right? Like, and if I had $1 million, you would do the same thing you would do with the 10. So stop believing that you're going to do something different in January if you aren't practicing and building that muscle right now. Your gift is now. And every day that you hold on to it, waiting for a flip of a calendar, you're telling God the gift that he gave you wasn't enough. I'm imploring you to take advantage of this moment that God has given you and create that story that you want, and stop waiting for something that has not yet been promised to you. Now is your day. It was established at birth. Own your amazing and give that gift to the world so that it can give it back to you. No resolution. That's bullshit.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us again. We will not be here next Sunday, but we will return on December 1st, where the topic will be removing the mask, a path to liberation. Have a great rest of the night.